when Mike and I were talking, it's really a journey. And one of the things you can learn, and it doesn't mean you need to copy what these guys have done, but just understanding the process and some of the challenges. So before we even get into this, I'm going to ask each panelist to give you like just a little bit of their background and how do they end up on this stage. So Stu, why don't you go first?
Sure. Stu Tisdale, I'm the Vice President of Strategy and Commercial Excellence at ADI. Let's give a 30-second elevator pitch on ADI. We are the world's leading global distributor of security, fire detection, and AV products. And we're a high-touch business. We've got branches, we've got a website, we've got telesales. I've been in wholesale distribution my entire career. I came out of college, I worked the first leg of my career for 10 years at Henry Schein, and then the last leg of my career for the last 10 years has been at ADI Global Distribution. And what I do in my role at ADI is I coordinate and facilitate the process of decision-making really at all levels of the organization, because strategy decision-making is happening at all levels of the company. So my team and I help facilitate that. Also, once we make those business decisions, my team helps organize and execute those initiatives.
Sounds good. Ron, how about you?
Ron Calhoun. I'm with Palmer-Donavin. We're a building material wholesale distributor. Been in business since 1907. At the end of this week, I will be completely retired. I've recently stepped down as CEO after 25 years as CEO of Palmer-Donavin. It's been a 40-year career there. We're a 100% ESOP company. Did that in 2007. We are a traditional two-step wholesaler in the building material trade, leading out with a lot of salespeople in the marketplace that controlled the relationship, controlled everything, and we sat back and we looked at what the responsibilities of those salespeople were. And at a management meeting in 2017, we had our full management group there, and I said, we've always gone out to recruit salespeople, and I would say, you know, this is a great job, you're the president of your own company, you've got to make all these decisions, and we really depend on you. And so I said, and I always say, it's like being the president of your own company. And at the management meeting in 2017, I was told the management group, if I ever say that again, either fire me or shoot me, and I don't care which, because we are going to change from a sales-led organization to a management-led organization. So that's what led us on this journey, and we're still on the journey.
It's 5 years now.
Yes.
5 years. And I know you guys have both been at it. I mean, Sue, could you share a little bit about what prompted you to do this? I mean, was this you go to some seminar? Consultant sold you an idea, the profit sucked. I mean, what was the deal?
Well, I think Mike's closing slide there, rang true for us in terms of the journey we've been on for the last 12 quarters. Where we first started was just doing, with some experts, was doing a value proposition and customer journey project, and understanding how our customers are looking to shop, what they value in ADI. And what that led us to accept was that our customers are shopping, they're shopping much more digitally. They are starting to place orders, more digitally, but fulfillment is largely happening in the same ways that it's happened for many, many years. And so what that said for us is we need to create the investment flexibility on our P&L to go invest in our digital shopping experience. There's a portion of every distributor's P&L that's dedicated to serving demand. And every year we look at our budgets and say, look, we want to grow 5%, whatever it was, we've got to allocate this amount of money to serve demand. What sales transformation has allowed us to do is really repurpose all of that investment that was going towards serving demand into them creating new demand and taking from order taking to order making. I can walk through many examples as we progress here around that.
We need to, because people understand stories and how it actually works, and it's a real shock in our experience when people start to actually separate. What prompted you to say, if I ever say that again, shoot?
Because I saw where the market was going and the technology that was being applied and how much we're paying our salespeople and what their functions and responsibilities were. We cannot continue on that road. It's reading a lot of things in the industry and trying to keep up with trends. One of the books I read, which was very good, was The Machine by Justin Roth Marsh, which gives you a lot of good insight and ideas. And I said, "Well, this is the direction that we did." Much like Stu, we did the journey mapping, which the customer journey map is very, very, very important. And you find out there's a lot of things in this transformation that has to come to light. We also, before we started, we got engaged with Texas A&M through NAW on the micro degree program. And that was our topic to how do we make and start this Salesforce transformation. So that put us a great blueprint of what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go, and told us how to engage everybody. And the main thing is how to be transparent in what you're doing and engaging different members of your team within the organization. And you want to pick the guys that will communicate to everybody else the good and the bad. And so we did that. We did vendor interviews. We did customer surveys. We did salesman interviews, did a time chart of our salesmen. Here's where you're spending your time. Here's how much time you're spending on tactical issues that really are a waste of your time, and if you're going to do tactical issues, you're not going to be paid as good as you're being paid right now. So then we brought Mike in for a full day and a half, I believe.
I remember the bar.
Yeah, it was a good bar. But to introduce our entire sales team and staff to the concept, and we required all of our management team to read the book, The Machine, so they had an understanding of where we're going. And it takes a lot of continuing education and feeding information to your team so that they see the results that can be created by the transformation you're trying to achieve.
And I will warn you about that book, The Machine, because I know Justin relatively well. If you give that to your field salespeople and have them read it, you're going to increase the field sales suicide rate. That's the simplest way I can say it. But one of the things that Ron brings up, all of a sudden you realize, in terms of what they're doing, because it's so tactical, I'm overpaying them for the value that they're bringing. All right? Now here's the part that's interesting. You have a handful, and you don't know this until you start, and everybody thinks they do, and they're always surprised. You're going to have some people that if you start to say, I'm going to take all this tactical clerical stuff away, and you get to go hunt, they're going to love you. They're going to think this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. I was thinking about quitting, this is now going to be fun again. But there are some people that are really field customer service people that you have them in a lucky territory club, and there's no way in the world they're going to have the ability or the willingness to do it. So, I mean, that's part of this change. You can't go through this change and have everything stay the same. In terms of where you are in the journey right now, I mean, what's happened from the 12 quarters ago? I mean, is it too early to see any results?
No, I think I'd be happy to share some of the results. So, 12 quarters ago, around 20% of our order volume globally, we're in 14 countries globally, was being acquired in some touchless manner, whether that was website commerce, email to EDI, or traditional punch-out EDI. We are now on a run rate of 35%. So that's been an increase of 500,000 orders annually that have now flowed through, without largely any human interaction. Again, what that's done is created the space and message to the sales force that we expect the role to be much more focused on proactive order making and not on the order taking. And your example is spot on. That is a classic move my cheese type of conundrum. I mean, we've dealt with it, and we're still dealing with it. So that's been one initial result, and there's several others we can.
So can you share an example? We were talking before about process and how you change it in terms of how the orders come in. Because I mean that was touchless basically, but how have you started to pull the field people out in terms of the other stuff? If you got a specific example.
Yeah, I mean, the change management principles, and again, I point to Mike's last slide. I think at ADI over the last 36 months has been a lot of learning around change management. One of the principles you talked about, Lean Six Sigma, Gemba, the process of Gemba, which is to go out and see. You have to go out, if you're a branch-based distributor, you must go out to your branches and inspect what you expect. You're going to see folks who get it, you're going to see folks who are trying to fake it, and it's going to be really, really obvious. One of my favorite stories around moving orders to touchless was I walked into a branch, and what I typically do is we look at the top 15 accounts and their order volume, and we see how are these accounts ordering. And clearly there was one account that stuck out. They were sending us 40 orders a week, and they weren't on some type of electronic platform. So we asked the branch, what's the reason for that? So, well, they have a free freight minimum, and so they get really upset when they don't hit it and they get charged freight. So, we pool all their orders and we just make sure it hits the free freight minimum. And so, I said,
you can't make this stuff up.
And I've got stories on two hands around that same type of stuff. But if you're going to do any type of sales transformation, you've got to get out in the field and go and see.
Because you'll never see it at headquarters. So, what results have you guys seen?
Well,
you're basically, this is your 5th year, right?
Right. So we have consolidated territories. We've done some changes around branding during that time period. We've consolidated. We had a door division, which had its own dedicated sales force. Our building materials division had its own dedicated sales force. Never did the two meet. We've changed that. We're developing specialists. We've segmented our customer base and assigned inside salespeople to be the go-to people for the customers on the inside when they need something, trying to get away from always calling the field salesperson. We've been on web order entry since 2002, so we've always had a website that's been transactional. We invested very heavily in that and updating it, so we never got above, we would go from 3 to 7%. So in 2017, we were at 7% of our warehouse orders coming in that way. Today, we're at 25% of our warehouse orders.
When was it? 7%? What year?
17. Today, it's 25%, and it continues to build dramatically each month with the changes that we've initiated. So those are, and one thing that we haven't done is compensation. And that's the reason I'm retiring Friday.
Yeah, old, yeah. And you guys have both alluded to it a little bit. I made the comment, because it's just been sort of scar tissue at our end, but we really look at digital as, you can't do sales transformation without adding digital. I mean, it's different sides of the same coin, because you need the metrics and the analytics, and both of you guys are talking about numbers and analytics that a lot of people don't have. So what have you done with technology, and how does that fit in, if I take a look at what you've been doing?
Sure. I mean, I think analytics is the foundation that sales transformation has to be built on. It's the springboard. I can tell you before we started, we spent a few years just making sure we could get all the data that we needed out of the ERP. It was structured correctly, it was consistent, it was complete, and that it was made available to the lowest levels of the organization. If you're an ADI counter salesperson, you have your own individual dashboard that's showing you lots of different metrics around how your customers are performing. So we fully believe getting analytics and BI to the lowest levels of the organization. We also believe in giving as much analytics as possible to our suppliers. We'll be launching a supplier analytics platform very shortly. So data and BI has been the springboard from which we started. I will just give advice that I think the presentation layer, you talked about the sexy tech stack, we've heard all the pitches. The presentation layer is the least important thing. It's having the right data structured correctly that everyone can agree is accurate at all levels. Getting that right is going to take 4, 6, 8 quarters.
Yeah. Because I know you guys have been spending a fair amount of money. I heard you bitching about it.
Yeah. Data analytics, without data, you're not going to make the right decisions. You've got to make data-based decisions. And we've invested in line item and product line profitability analysis programs. There's a couple of those programs out there. We currently use Waypoint, and we've been 2 years trying to get our data clean and make sure it's right. We haven't even introduced this to our sales force yet, because there's a lot of issues that can come up in the way data is interpreted through a third party. And I know SPARXiQ has those services available as well. But that's extremely important, and we're expecting a lot of benefits there. And that leads you to be able to segment your customers, and that is extremely important, so that you know who the customers that you want to put a ring around and protect and not let anybody in on, and the customers that may be high-volume customers that you just assume hand off to the competitor.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I know you don't want to pay that margin. I'm sorry. I wish you well in your future endeavors. Here's the phone numbers of my 3 competitors. Yeah. So, one of the things that's sort of endemic in the industry in general, not all the companies here, but a lot of them, field salespeople negotiate pricing and they're in control of pricing. So how does that play out in your company, and did this sales transformation have any impact or any change on it?
Yeah, sure. Once you get the data right, you can springboard into other digital tools. So we've sprungboard from business intelligence into AI and machine learning tools that are now deployed across all ADI. And if the data is right, it makes moving into a pricing software, whether that's cloud or something we build homegrown, much easier. Field sales, folks making decisions about pricing, I think that'll always happen. What you want to do using the data-driven approach is provide them a recommendation that's optimized based on your customer segmentation, based on various different factors.
So it's having the data to make an informed decision instead of just having an emotional conviction.
Yes, data-free, gut feel decisions, I think, problematic for many reasons.
How do you guys handle pricing, or is it different from what it
Well,
was?
we've been a long-time SPA customer, and we use them, and now we have our own in-house. We've incorporated Microsoft Power BI and a lot of analyzing our own data and creating pricing, and we've hired a pricing czar. So he is in charge of getting the pricing out, working with our marketing team as well as our sales management team, and kind of cleaning up the old mistakes and then analyzing the data for the individual territory. If you can analyze that, here's where you are, here's where the average selling price for the customer is. Why in the hell are you down here when everybody else is selling it up here? So we're trying to get those types of communications out and easy access to that information via data. I will say that the technology portion of this whole journey is the one thing that will hold you down. Because just of late, with the pandemic, all these software companies and people are so busy. If you want to tweak something to your system, maybe you want to tweak your website to do this or that, just getting the resources to get that done has been a real problem. The other thing we're doing, just initiated recently, is Proton AI with our website to do product suggestions.
By the way, the guy, Proton AI, is sitting there.
Yeah, and so I had a conversation with Benj, and we're just getting started on that, and we have a lot of high hopes that can improve our service to the customer and to our people in being able to make logical choices and decisions and find out what's not being bought and it should be bought.
Well, everybody thinks AI and machine learning is like Star Wars, and it's only for multi-billion-dollar companies, and it's actually going mainstream now. So, when you guys, because you guys already rolled out some of it, did people like it, hate it, did it terrify them?
No, with the AI recommendations, it's optional, right? And the way it fits into the Salesforce's activities is essentially it's optional. But you will see the top 30% of users are growing much faster than the bottom 60%.
So the case David was making about trying to get the bell curve to replicate the top guy, you've got her data.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. I want to talk about a hairy, ugly problem. And I've seen this actually paralyze people where they get stuck in pilot purgatory because they have a senior sales executive that we used to be the best sales guy. He's of my generation, PMS, pale, male, and stale. and they're very old school, and they can nod their head and say all that, but to actually do anything different, they end up being an obstacle. Now, you guys may not have had them in your company, but to the extent that you've actually seen that, how do you deal with it?
We retired.
Well, voluntary. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ron. Yesterday was your last full day.
So I have a couple of thoughts here. Whenever you roll out a change management initiative, it's widely accepted you want to do a pilot, right? Traditionally, we've done pilots. All right, we'll take one sales region and all the branches in that region, you guys do the pilot. And once it's successful, we'll roll it to all the other regions. We realized that was not the best way to do it. The best way we found success is taking all of our managers, all of our leaders, making them part of the pilot and having because then they get let in. They get let in on something new, right? They feel like they're getting let in, and
so they're okay. I'm with you. They're on the front end.
They're on the front end, and they get let in. With the senior sales leader, the recent breakthrough we had, and of course we have seen this before, is partnering that senior sales leader with a very young, not young, but early in their career, up-and-coming sales leader, and letting them, kind of coach each other through it. And that has been a formula that we found recently with a sales leader that could not get CRM for 2 years. That has been, how it's clicked.
Interesting. So you pairing them, but they're a team, the two of them. It's not like does the old guy feel like the young guy's going to try to retire him early?
Well, there's natural competition, right, among sales leaders, and yeah, that's been the formula.
Well, every sales guy thinks they're the best in the world. I'm using guy in a gender-free term, by the way. So, very good. If you guys look at the journey that you're on, you're moving really fast. When is this whole topic, right? Because NAW is now just starting the sales roundtable, which is a huge deal. I mean, we've been doing operations for years, right? So when is this not going to be a topic anymore? I mean, nobody talks about their fax strategy, right? So when is this going to be old news? I mean, is this going mainstream completely, you think, or what? How's it going to play out?
I think it's going to play out with changes that happen in the marketplace, and you're going to continue to have to change and upgrade and transform what you want out of your salespeople. As fast as technology can change, we're going to have to follow those changes. And one of the things that was frustrating for us is that, with the pricing situation and the salesmen having control and more business going over the web, if you don't have that price right on the website,
Nothing's going to happen.
Nothing's going to happen. And so you've got to make sure that, you got to be able to manage that effectively. And if it needs to change, it needs to change quickly, and it needs to be governed as it changes. We've during this process, a year and a half ago, we implemented CRM, which we call Sales Hub, because we don't like the term CRM. And that has been something we're trying to drive a lot of our information to for the salespeople, and that be the center point of access, because it can connect with all the other systems. So
that's the software, that's the app that they go to multiple times.
We've got to drive more resources to that app. And the other thing we're doing is getting an app for the phone, so that our Connect site can be on the phone, so that the people can use the phone, take a picture of the product, or in their field, they can scan it, so they can enter it directly into their order through our portal.
Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier, and I fully agree. The sales team communicates the value proposition and ultimately has to capture the value the company offers. So, and 70% of most distributors' employee force is in the sales team. So, to me, it's an ongoing. It's always going to be an ongoing initiative. Your point around underinvesting in the sales force is absolutely accurate. I've lived it. I've seen it. So we'll continue to always invest. And I think we should, as an industry, continue to always invest in our sales teams. Well, I don't think we'll ever be done.
By the way, and I know this, we're trying to get 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag here, but we've got, has anybody got a question or two for either of my panelists? Anybody got a great question? Yes, ma'am. Use your outdoor voice, pretend you're talking to a teenage son.
I don't really have an indoor voice, so we're good. So my question questions around management. So I know you talked a little bit about bringing your leaders in, but even the shift that you guys are talking about with customer service versus inside sales versus outside sales, and not having your field people doing the tactical stuff and trying to change that, how did you, I don't know, either evolve the team or bring new team members in, or how did you shift or add or change people in that?
Taking that initial move from where it's always been this way forever, and you're going to actually change it.
Absolutely.
Right, so would you like go in with the
We brought
M62 grenade?
We brought them in up front as we were starting the process. We created teams of inside and outside salespeople that would bring a representative. And here's where we see the future vision. Here is what we're going to try to do. You know, this, we don't know how we're going to get there yet. That's why we're bringing you in for some input and help guide us as we start on this journey. And I think it's, you know, you have to be very, very transparent throughout the organization of what you're doing, because the worst thing you can do is do it in the back room and coming out, okay, salesman, here's what your new jobs and responsibilities are. So, you know, I think it was said earlier, you know, that they can see what the results are. I think you said, Mike, the guy who told his salespeople, you know, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it together, and it's for the benefit, and we're an employee-owned company. So it's for the benefit of all those employees. And, you know, tell our people, you know, just recently, the last meeting I was at with all the employees, you know, if you don't want to change, you know, this is not the company you want to work for. If you want to do the same thing that you're doing over and over and over again, please, probably best right now to go find another job, because we're going to have to change or we're going to be gone.
Sue, how did you guys, on that very first one where it's the shock and awe, the Dick Cheney move?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the same things that were just mentioned. The BI, the analytics are a key piece of it because they can't hide from the change, right? That, I think, is one of the key aspects that you can't hide from what we now expect in this role. And then in terms of, I mean, I think that's probably the key point.
One of the things that we've done with clients is actually put league tables together, so when you get the metrics together, everybody sees where they rank, so you have the champ of the camp and the chump of the dump, and it's not just on territory volume, that's account assignment. But did you guys do anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the things you mentioned around, you know, organizing a sales force around branches and field sales and telesales, those were things that we've done in the last 36 months, ensuring that salespeople are covering core accounts and, you know, opportunistic or non-loyal accounts go into a different bucket for e-commerce. All those kind of best practices have all been part of that. And then, like you said, gamification driven by the analytics is a really key part.
You're going to learn a lot about gamification. Got one more question here, and then we'll have to wrap it.
Yeah.
Outdoor voice, so they can hear you back there.
So yeah, this is for Stu, and I like that you guys have done so much with the data and the BI, and you talk about, you know, pushing that data to your sales organization as far down as possible. But the other thing I found interesting was that you were sharing that data and that insight with all of your suppliers. Can you just kind of comment a little bit on how you were able to pull them in and how that's helped out with your strategy?
Sure, yeah, I mean, if I look back like 10 years, we were paranoid about sharing data. We didn't want to share data down to the branches. We thought they would take it to the competition. We didn't want to share it with suppliers. We've done a total 360 on that. If you're an ADI supplier in North America, you get a daily dashboard, and it's robust. It's you can see all how your promotions are doing, inventory, sales. We try to make available everything that we can competitively without creating risk for ourselves. We will be launching a new platform that you'll be able to log into, and we have got dedicated analysts behind that to continue to add and create a community with suppliers, field requests on what they want to see. We truly believe if we're open and we share as much data as possible with our suppliers, that will accrue in business coming back to you.
Very cool. Well, we're pretty much out of time, but I want to ask the city slickers question. You know, Jack Palance and Billy Crystal, the one thing. So all these people out here, some are thinking like, I think maybe I'm uncomfortable, want to go on the journey. What's the one piece of advice that you think they ought to keep in mind in terms of going on this journey to get the benefit of your scar tissue? And Ron, why don't you go first?
Don't go too fast. and be transparent. And wait on the technology and the platforms to develop as you go.
Stu, how about you?
The technology is 20%, it really is. Software companies don't want you to know that. The technology is 20%, 80% of it is change management.
Bingo. Well, please join me in thanking our panelists.